Growing up, I went to church every Sunday. I was even a part of the church choir, but I was also really caught up in the world, and I didn't know who I was or who I wanted to be or who I wanted to follow or who I should follow. I didn't even think about those things, and all through middle school and high school and college, I just wanted to be liked. I wanted to be liked by whoever would like me, and I really didn't care about what image I was portraying in doing that. And that led me to a lot of sexual sin, a lot of just getting drunk on a regular basis, distancing myself from the church. That led to me having a lot of sexual sin, getting drunk on a regular basis, smoking pot, even teenage pregnancy, and even abortion. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I went through lots of consequences and many regrets. I read a lot of bad decisions that I had made, and I remember one afternoon sitting in my home office and just looking out of the window and just pondering what my purpose was. At that time, I was unmarried, I was pregnant, and I knew that I had a purpose. I just didn't know where it was. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to find it. And so I knew that the world was blocking me from all the experiences that God had in store for me and all the things that He had in store for me. And so I just asked God to show me. I asked God to expose all my sins. I asked God to expose all my unrighteousness so that I can clearly see the things that He had in store for me. So I can clearly see that what decisions I was making were I was making for His glory and not for my own. I started coming to Northside in 2009, and that same year, and I began to see really how the world was leading my life, and I was just broken. It was a sorrow that I could not explain, and it was completely heartbreaking. And the next year, I just surrendered my life to Christ. I just gave my whole life over to Him, and He began to prepare me for the purposes that He had for me. But it wasn't an overnight thing where I was just baptized and it was all good. It took some time for me to build my relationship with Christ. He already knew me, but I had to get to know Him. And it wasn't just coming to church. It was what I was surrounding myself with. It was seeking godly advice. It was many small group studies, just being in the Word. It was devotions. It was completely turning from who I was and who I used to be. It was dwelling in His presence and quietly seeking what He wanted me to do and where He wanted me to go. And the more and more I learned who God was and who God is, the more peace I have. And the peace is another thing that I can't explain. It's on the other end of the spectrum. It's just peace in knowing that I have salvation. It's peace in knowing the love that Christ has for me. It's peace in knowing that the life that He has for me is in His hands, and His purpose for me is completely perfect. And a few years ago, God actually called me to lead in the student ministry. And just looking back and seeing the perfect purpose that God has for me, He now has me leading the same age group that I was when I fell, and that I'm just at complete awe in just the perfect purpose that He has for my life.